Hey guys, welcome back for another amazing interview with the newest housewife of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She's beautiful, she's amazing, she's catching a lot of flack this season, which I don't agree with, but Crystal Kung Minkoff. Guys, we have an amazing conversation here for you, and I'm just so excited because she didn't hold back when it came to any of my questions about the Real Housewives, her co-stars, filming, and of course, her amazing star of a housekeeper. I don't even want to call her a housekeeper, I want to call her family, Lucy. So before we jump in with all of that, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell because, well, you don't want to miss anything we have coming up. Now with that, let's jump right in.
It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey, Crystal, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much again for taking the time to join us. I know everyone, especially on my YouTube channel, our community that we have, we're so excited to have you here. Everyone is going to be so psyched about this interview. I wish we could have done it live, but at the end of the day, just you even being here and having this conversation means so much. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course. Well, just to jump in, if anyone is living under a rock, guys, obviously we know Crystal Kung Minkoff from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 11. This is your freshman season. How have you been?
I'm good. It's definitely a whirlwind. It's like nothing I always make this joke, like a year ago, I would have lost my home in a bet because I would have never thought I would ever be on this show. Like if you told me I'd be on reality TV, like never in my wildest dreams. So yeah, it's pretty wild and it's fascinating, the experience being on this end of it. You know, you learn so much about audience, production, yourself. Yeah, it's quite amazing actually.
My gosh, and I'm sure you weren't even, or you couldn't even imagine how the fans were going to react to you, what kind of response you would get, and even the backlash you've gotten, which I have to say, and I just want to get this out of the way right away, I'm so mad. I've seen some of the comments towards you on Twitter where they're attacking you for your race and attacking you for how you've been on the show, saying that you're not opening up enough. And I'm thinking in my head, and they've called you cold. I'm like, she shared her family. She shared her experience growing up. She's shared with us the fact that you weren't comfortable in a bathing suit and there were certain issues that you had to address along the way. And now what more do we want? You even gave us Lucy.
It's interesting. I actually think that's fascinating. I'm a very open person. Like I don't, I have my flaws, but I'm also just like, I am who I am. And all the girls on the show would very early on were like, you're the most open we've ever had on the show. So I just think it's like, I think it's audience understanding of what is really open versus what they think is open.
Right.
That's maybe what I think. But like, I sometimes get comments like you're boring. And I'm like, I actually take that as a compliment with this group. Because I'm just like a real normal person and I don't know how to adjust to make myself any different. And that's just who I am. So, but I'm so proud of my family. And I also accept my flaws and I'm working on them all the time and with my eating disorder and all that stuff. And, it's just, it is who I am, but there is so much more, like they don't talk about my business, which is a massive part of my life. So I think it's interesting what is shown, but it's me, but it's sort of a limited version. So
right, exactly, because of course we have to count the fact that you are a part of an ensemble cast. They have to fit everyone in a tight 1 hour episode, and editing has a huge role to play in a lot of this. We all, I think, understand that. But I do want to ask about your experience filming The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because like you said, in your wildest dreams, you would not have imagined that you would have been a part of this show or any reality show. And now you have cameras in your face. You have this dynamic group of women with huge personalities. What was that like walking into this?
I remember the first time I filmed at Dorit's house when I met all the girls. It was my first day. My first day was with Kyle and Renna. They came here.
Right.
And then it was the first group thing I walked on and I was like, oh, I walked onto a movie set because I've seen sets and like there's lights and tons of cam. It was like coming here, it was only like a 2-cam group. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but like when you walk in, it's like tons of lighting and it looks like a set. And I remember seeing the girls like, oh, those are the girls from that TV show. So it was definitely like outer body. And I remember coming home telling Rob, he's like, how did it go? I was like, I don't know. It was weird to like see them in real life. And so for a long time, I felt that way. I felt like I was like in a room with celebrities on reality television.
I mean, were you a fan of the show before ever filming the show?
Yeah, I watched the show, but I wasn't a fan like the fans online.
Right.
But I watched it for sure. And because I went to school in Orange County. And so it might have been the year that it was just maybe right after college or something like that. But I distinctly remember watching Orange County first because I felt connected to that. And then I watched Beverly Hills because it's like where you live in New York. So yeah, I haven't watched all of them, but now I don't watch any of them since I started the show.
That makes sense.
It's too much for me. So I try to avoid it. Yeah.
I feel like now you understand how it's filmed and what's edited out and what's supposed to be there. And I've had so many of these conversations with different housewives and they're like, I do not watch the show. And I always thought in my head, aren't you contractually obligated to?
Oh no, I watch our show. I watch our show still, and I watch it with different eyes because I'm like, oh God, what did they put in there this time? But I've become close to Tiffany Moon, and Tiffany will call me watching it while it's airing live, like, oh, I'm so angry for you because I know what actually happened. I said, it's okay, girl. Like, you know how it works, so it's fine.
I just did an interview with Dr. Tiffany Moon a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling her, I'm so sad that you're not going to be on Dallas again. I hate that they pulled the plug on the show after we just met her. And I keep on expressing this to my audience on YouTube, especially about you coming into your first season. Same thing with Dr. Tiffany Moon. It was her freshman season on the show. So I don't think you really know what you're getting into until you've gone through a whole season. You see what the women are saying behind your back. You're shocked out of nowhere because there obviously has to be conflict and resolution. And then it's like, boom, here you are immersed into it. Like, what did I sign up for?
Yeah. Yeah. It's unlike any experience you could imagine. And, but I was so grateful to have Tiffany and Ebony because we became this like little trio together to support each other. And I talk to them like really quite often. But yeah, we really support Tiffany, and I feel sad that she didn't get another opportunity. I know she probably has mixed feelings. I know she has mixed feelings about had she wanted to go back. It was a really challenging experience for her.
Right.
But so it was for me and Ebony, but just very different,
Right.
Like challenge was there, but we all had very different experiences.
Now, I want to ask you, obviously, being on the show, it has to have affected your life in some capacity, right? Because you're on this very public platform. Now everyone knows who you are. And I saw I believe it was a Watch What Happens Live episode where Andy's talking to you about Lucy. And you're like, oh, now she's an animal. She goes out, she's recognized, she's getting free clothes. She's kind of like a brand ambassador. And it's affecting your lives.
Yeah.
Has it been for the better or?
My private life off camera is like it's not that different, to be honest.
Okay.
I think because I live in LA, when I talked to Tiffany about that, like for her, it's a wild difference because first of all, she's a doctor and lives in a city that's not Hollywood. So it's extreme for her. Whereas me, it's like Rob's in the business. I see it a lot. And like in LA, when you're in a reality show, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like there's real stars in the world. Like we're just normal people and they know that. And, but yeah, you have a more balanced, I think, not balanced, but like, it's not a big change. At least it wasn't for me. But Lucy, like today, I woke up and my hair was like bananas looking. And she's just like talking to me. And then she's like, oh, I can't look at you. Your hair looks so bad.
My God.
So I'm like, you can't look at me. Like, what? And she's like, it's really that bad. You should go do your hair. I was like, okay, Lucy. Like, that's how we talk to each other. It's so funny.
Lucy is like her own little breakout star.
She is. She deserves it.
Listen, I'm here for it. When you were saying yes, she drinks on the job and I make her drinks. And I was like, we need more of this dynamic. But I do also,
I know, I wish there was more. And I remember talking production, I'm like, people keep asking more Lucy's like, I know we should have filmed more with you. But she loves a screwdriver and we tend to drink together. Cause like Lucy lives here. So like, and even if she didn't live here, well, she didn't live here, I wouldn't be sending her home drinking. But, like when you have someone live with you, they should feel like family. They give up so much of their lives to help me. So Rob and I really believe in their experience. No matter what, she still works for me. It's not like I'd be lying if I think she loves every day of it, but we do our best to make it as fun and open, and like she is truly like our family. So it's fun. She's wacky.
I love that. I hope we get to see more of her in the future.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you, because there was, I believe it's a rumor, unless you've already confirmed this, but we heard that Kathy Hilton would only join the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for season 11, even though she was a friend of the show. We heard that she would only join if you joined. Is that true?
I think you have to ask her that. Only is a strong word. She called me and said she would do it if I did it.
Okay.
So it was really like, we say only, I think that's like, if I didn't do it, would she have done it? Maybe, probably. But I think it was when she said to me, I said no for 11 years. Like just no. They tried to get her. And then she said, well, there's this girl who's your friend named Crystal. She told me the story. And she's like, Crystal was willing to do it. And she's like, and I think they sort of played each other like, well, if Kathy does it, or if Crystal does it, kind of thing. And then so she called me out. It was literally the middle of the night because Kathy doesn't sleep, only in the daytime. And she's very nocturnal. And she's like, what do you think? And I said, I don't know, girl. Like, I don't know. But then Rob's looking at me. I remember him sitting in this chair. I was in bed. And he's like, what do you think? Kathy's going to do it. Kathy Hilton's going to do it. Who do you think you are? I was like, I don't know. So I said, okay, it's COVID. Let's just try
Why
it.
not?
So yeah, that's what happened. So we said, okay, let's do it together. And then it was like, I think 2 weeks later, we officially said yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I love that story.
That's the story.
I had a conversation with Dana Wilkie, who was on one of the original seasons of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't know if you're familiar.
Glasses lady, right?
Yes, the $25,000 glasses. And I asked her, what do you think about Crystal on the show? And she said, from my perspective, being around most of these women and filming these long hours, sometimes it looks like Crystal doesn't want to be there because these are long hours, and some of these conversations, you don't know what you're walking into. And I didn't necessarily think that was fair, because I'm like, wait a minute, we still have to remember this is her freshman season. I've been stressing this to everyone. So with her saying that, I'm just curious, do you have any off the top of your head likes and dislikes about filming? Was it just the long process, or was it, please.
It's an interesting perspective. I don't think she's wrong in some experiences. I think some women, not just our franchise, but like other ones, like you hear stories that they spent years trying to get on it, right? So it's like their intentions are different. They're like so excited to film, or you're an actor where like you love the cameras. Like I have never been on camera. Like I was a pre-med student, and then like that was not my thing. So like that's where Tiffany and I really connect, because it was like, even though I've seen it, I've always seen on the other side. Never did I want to be in front of the camera. I don't even like taking pictures. So it was really challenging for me. And then also like every day talking about the same argument didn't make sense to me. And then I had to learn that this is sort of like the dynamics of how the show works. And so I feel like once I said my piece, I was done. Like there's only so much that you could say. And I'm not someone that like ever needs to hear myself speak, or like, I don't have that kind of personality. So, I did my best to insert myself when it applied to me, but it's a challenging show. And there's definitely, the women are really good at like, I remember that they said, just like, you're supposed to say what's in your head, and most people don't do that. You're just thinking things, but I'm also very like, I saw this post yesterday, my friend Dorothy like posted something about Aquariuses, and it's like you're observing all the time, whatever. And when you're ready, you say it, but you need to be ready. And that was sort of like my experience with Sutton. I was feeling really good about Sutton for a while. And, you know, the last episode when I apologized. So like for me, and we hugged it out, was like, I need to come from a very clear space, a truly authentic place. And once I do, I'm totally there. Like I'm not wishy-washy.
You know,
So I think that's the challenge about the show, is that you need to say how you feel every day. But I didn't feel differently the day before. Like people don't realize, they're like, oh, now you guys are getting along. It's like, that was only between our first argument, and it was like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Like so people think it's like 6 months when they air it, but like I got there. I get to places in a few weeks, but I don't get to places in a day. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Definitely. You know,
Okay.
and I have to applaud you for the fact that you really stood up for yourself, especially when, and I love Sutton. I've done an interview with her as well, and I thought she was great. This was her first season, and I was so excited to see that she was asking some of the questions that the fans wanted to know this season. And when she cut you off in one of your first moments filming with her, when you guys went on your trip, to the point where she calls your pants ugly leather pants, and you're just smirking, I'm like, oh wait, no, I like this woman because she can give it and she can take it, and she's not getting all hurt because I feel like if we did this to Dorit would be like, excuse me, my what? You know, whereas like you were just so calm, cool, and collected. And I was going to ask you, where do you stand with all of the women now? But you've been pretty vocal about where you stand with Erica. We just saw you in a photo with Sutton, so it seems like you're in a really good place with everyone. And I'm excited to see how that would play out during the next season, season 12, because you've said, right, we're getting you back, we hope.
I'm not confirmed. I can't confirm it yet.
Okay, but we're hopeful.
It's swirling.
Okay, okay, I'll take that.
It's swirling, but nothing is finalized out of. So, but when it finalizes, I'll be sure to tell you. I'll text you first.
Okay, hey.
That's a promise, actually. I will text you first, but you cannot tell anyone.
Okay.
But it's not official yet.
I was gonna say, don't sell me on that, but yeah.
Yeah, but with the Erica situation, you know, I think that I was in a kind of a unique experience because I really wanted to try to get to know people, and it's hard to get to know people. Our whole shooting schedule is 14 weeks. So what you see from day one of meeting everyone to literally finale is 14 weeks. It's a very short time. And this was over the holidays. So I only knew so much, and I'm a very sort of face value person. I just who I am. So I always believe people. And so my empathy towards Erica was always leaned in because, you know, you don't see a lot of the stuff that gets aired, especially me. I got cut out a lot in this stuff, like my empathy towards her. But like she would always tell me about Tom having dementia, which is what I suffered with my dad as a family. And so every time she said it, I was like, oh my God, it was just so painful for me. I just cry. I just cry every time. And I was like, what if this happened to my dad? And what if they accuse him? So I just always believed in that. And Sutton knows this now, but like, I think I would have been more defensive of Sutton had I not experienced fighting with her in the beginning. And she totally gets that. Like, and what I loved about it was so painful fighting with Sutton, but now I realized, like, because it always takes time, that the reason why Sutton and I actually really have a friendship now is because you have to go through those experiences and how do you resolve them. And we've gone through a lot of conversations. We've gotten together a lot, and I really appreciate that. And so I feel like connected to her in a real way. But it's so funny when we post that photo, you have to sort of wait for things to air on television because you don't want to like spoil people's experiences of the show. So we've been good for like a really long time, but we texted each other yesterday. It was like, let's blow up the internet. And then the Instagram went down right after we posted it.
Of course it did. No, that was a nightmare for everyone. That was a nightmare.
I know, but we started texting each other. We're like, we actually broke. It was really funny. So we're like, oh, let's wait until, you know, our episode comes out where people know we're good. Cause you don't want to like give spoilers, you know?
Right, right, exactly. And
It's been good. It's been good.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when you guys were filming in Del Mar and you're sitting at the table and Lisa Rinna is kind of going in on Garcelle, trying to get her to be vulnerable with everyone and be honest, as Rinna does, she shares that, you know, she doesn't feel like she's always been accepted. And sometimes it's harder for her to kind of get in with different social groups and sets of friends. Like she has a different experience. And I saw where a lot of fans came off like they were sort of disappointed because you didn't speak up in that moment. Like they wanted you to come to Garcelle's defense. But I also was kind of trying to say in my recaps and the conversations I was having on YouTube, well, you don't know if that was editing. You don't know. I mean, honestly, Crystal may have felt like that wasn't her place to chime in because Garcelle was sharing her truth.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, you're aware of this though, right? That fans were a little upset.
Yeah. I think people who want to see the worst, and not only me, but the cast, like when I said Garcelle doesn't have a lot of friends, she takes it seriously. Like Garcelle and I are so good. Like she knows what that meant. It means that she values friendship and she doesn't spread herself thin. She has to really trust in you. So people who know us and like all my friends, I was like, did you read? Because I see people are like, oh, she has a lot of friends. And I'm like, did you read that? They're like, no, it's because you know what that, like, because you really see her value of friendship. Right. So that's what I was saying. And Garcelle knew that. And then when people said that, I like texted her about it. And no, she asked me, people don't like to remember a few episodes ago. She asked me not to defend her when she's speaking about things like that.
See, and you know, like you
she
said,
asked me specifically not to insert myself because this was her telling her truth. And I'm going to respect that because Garcelle's actually a really good friend of mine. And I just sat there and I smiled and I listened to her because I was like, this is like her moment. She's being vulnerable. And who am I to say like, yeah, everybody, she's being vulnerable. Like, this is her time. Like, let her speak. And everyone responded well. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't need to hear myself speak, especially after my friend tells me, don't chime in.
Right. No, and that makes
it. That's what happened.
And it's so funny, like you said, because super fans of the show, everyone, they're either going to love you or love to hate watch you, which is unfortunate, but everyone will have an opinion because, well,
you'll always find if they see who you are or they like you, they'll totally read the way it was meant to be read. And then if they don't like you, they'll always find a way to twist it.
Right.
You know, but like G and I are like, we're really, it was like funny. I was like at her house that day and I was like, oh, here we go. She's like, what did they say? I was like, they want me to come in to defend you. She's like, oh, whatever.
She's like, oh gosh, just let them have it. Just stay off of social media. Well, and
yeah, it's fine. But that's what makes the show interesting. And, you know, when I see those messages, I'm like, oh, I wish I did it. But then I would be doing it for the audience, not for my friend. And that is super inauthentic to me. Like, I don't do things for that. And by the way, this aired way after we were done filming. So I don't know how to do that. Like in response to what they want. But like, I understand why people, like, if you are so defensive of your favorite, I'm going to call it say character, because no one knows us as real people. But like, if you really defending Garcelle in that moment, okay, that's fine. But that's not really what happened. And if it was, for sure, she would have said, why didn't you defend me or whatever? You never hear her say that because she asked me not to.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that up. And I wanted to applaud you too, because there's two totally different kinds of housewives. The ones who come in and it's like they're playing a game of chess. They know what their storyline is going to be before they even hit the show. And then there's the other type of housewife who just comes in and is like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Let's just play it by ear. I don't really have a storyline, but we'll figure out what events happen in my life and how I'm going to interact with the other women. And even though it was your, like I keep calling it, freshman season on the show, it seems like you are the type of housewife who comes in and is like, I'm not going to pre-manufacture anything. Let's see what happens. Let's roll with it. You're like, I'm busy. I have Lucy. I have a family. I have a whole husband. I have a basement to do.
Yeah, it's enough. It's enough. And if it's not enough, then it's interesting when people say like, you want a storyline, or where's her storyline? If you're looking for that, you're looking for someone acting.
Right.
Because that is really inauthentic. If you are coming in with an agenda, I don't. And that's just not my personality, but I know some people do. And by the way, that's what keeps the show running. Like if you just had 10 of me, it would probably be just kumbaya all the time. You know, and like making dumplings all day long. It wouldn't be a show. So I think that's what's interesting about having a very dynamic cast of like people that, and when I say like storyline of inauthentic, it's like, it's not made up. It's just like people have something to tell, a story to tell. And for me, my story is who I am, is my family, you know, my business, which, I mean, there's so much more. So like, my culture, you know, and people really connected with the fact that I spoke about my eating disorder and my dad's Alzheimer's, you know, like these are real life things. And that's what I'm going through. That's my life. And if people want some kind of outlandish storyline, it's not going to come from me.
You know, I mean, see, that's the thing that I was saying at the beginning of this interview. I don't necessarily always understand what the fans want, because it's like we have enough of the sobriety conversations, which are completely important, and we have mental health conversations, but you're also talking about health conversations regarding yourself and your father. And it's like, what more do you want from this woman? I don't always understand, but I will leave Real Housewives of Beverly Hills alone. I know that you have a lot to do, a lot on your plate. So I don't want to keep all of your time. But before I leave Real Housewives of Beverly Hills alone, can I ask you one last question?
Yes.
Okay. Who, if you're okay with answering this, was your favorite person to film with aside from Kathy? Because we all know it would be Kathy Hilton, right? But
yes.
Is there another one?
I would say I enjoyed filming with Dorit.
Okay.
I know it sounds like, because you don't really see it. Like Dorit was very kind to me, very like, and she saw me right away. She's like, I just know you're not this like girl to come in and like you know, we all like you, like you're a nice one. And I filmed a lot with Garcelle. We were saying the other day how like a lot of it got cut out, but we had like fun scenes together. So we were happy some of it made it, but we laughed a lot. So that was really fun.
I know when you posted on Instagram that your birthday scene didn't make it, I was like, oh no, but I appreciate it.
That was so, I mean, they really like, it was so beautiful, and it doesn't make it. And I thought, you know, people should see like when we come together, you know, and there's so much of that people don't get to. And I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to put it out there and let people see it. And they literally surprised me. They each individually gave me beautiful birthday wishes, every single one of them from their heart. And then there's such a funny scene. Oh my God. Like Dorit, literally, it was Dorit. Maybe I forgot who else it was. Maybe Kyle, Dorit and Kyle. They did their impersonations of every single person in the group on the boat. And it was like, we were crying, laughing. It was so funny. And I'm like, oh, Rob, I really wanted Rob to see it, because I'm like, I had the best night. And I was like, oh my God, you don't get to see it. So I'm like, I want the raw footage.
Of course, well, because we got the Never Have I Ever game, and then it was like, it was over from there. But I hope you thanked Lisa Rinna twice for your beautiful birthday wishes, of course, because that's necessary after watching this season. But like I said, I won't continue to beat on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I do want to ask you a couple more questions again before I let you go. One of them would be, you know, what have you been up to since filming the show? A lot of people don't realize that you do have this business. You have this business with your brother that you co-founded called Real Coco, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You're busy.
I'm very busy. I've had this company for 9 years, and we don't see it, but it's because it's an existing company. But my passion has always been, it gets so simple. Like my passion is throwing parties, but it's actually like events. But like, I don't do it for money. I just do it for myself because I love it. So anytime I hear pregnancy or getting a ring on their hand, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw you the shower. I just love it all. I love entertaining. And so I cook a lot. And so I'm heading towards more branching out from my business. So Real Cocoa has been around for so long. We're in Costco and all the big box stores, and we're across a lot of stores. And with talking about potentially expanding that line or heading into more food products. But that's what I do on my daily, other than being a mom and, married to, like, what people say, I keep saying Lion King. Like, when producers keep asking you that question, you have to keep answering it, and then they keep airing it. I'm like, who cares? I don't care of it. They make me do it. So that's what I do on my daily. And I just enjoy cooking. And people, I think when they started airing like the things I eat on the show, and I sort of became the in-house bartender for all the girls. I was like, people kept asking me. So I started posting it more, and people have been enjoying that. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, so like, that's what I do. That's my daily job.
Which I was so shocked, by the way, because I love Real Cocoa, and I didn't even realize that you were the co-founder until we heard about it. I didn't realize this was your business, and my family has been drinking it. So I was like, oh wow.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that because we're in this interview, but even my fiance who's in the other room, he was so excited about this interview, and he's like, tell her. I'm like, it's not the time for me to tell her that, but of course it came out organic.
It's always the time. It's so sweet of you. Thank you. No, I'm so proud of it. And we source majority in Vietnam, and we pay 15% higher to all our farmers than the next highest paid farmer in Vietnam. And we don't use any sprinklers. Everything is natural water that we, rainwater that we recycle. So I'm just super proud of our business, because we're all about keeping the environment intact. And coconuts are the most sustainable milk of any plant-based product. So that's what's so important to us. And it was a natural thing. Like, it was me, my brother, my best friend that I went to high school with in LA. And we just like, let's try it. And then
boom,
it just became this kind of, big, so we're not like trendy. We're not like the trendy brand. And I didn't need to be that. We're like big box store brand, and we're all organic, and we keep our prices low because we don't do any We've never paid $1 for marketing.
That's
and so when the show was like, oh, when the show came to me, they were like, you have a coconut water brand. I was like, yeah. And they're like, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, I don't know. I don't need to tell you that. And they're like, wow, you're like not anything like you're not the normal person. I was like, I don't know. It's a business that I don't need to necessarily, talk about, but I am very proud of it. Yeah.
You're just over here being modest and whatnot. Okay. We like that. We can appreciate that about you. And I think, again, that's what sets you apart from a few of your castmates. So I'm always so excited when we get to see you. No, I'm not. That is not being shady.
Out of the shade.
No, I swear I'm not being shady. And this isn't a shady question either, but is the basement done?
2 more weeks.
Okay, 2 more weeks. So eventually.
Yeah. So what you saw on TV was a rendering, but it's almost done. Yeah.
I'm sure Bravo will be knocking on your door, and they're like, okay, Crystal, now everyone wants to know about your basement. We have to do a basement tour.
Yes. They actually push us to start. I mean, I've been living in this house for 4.5 years, and we're just like, do we really need the space? And we already dug it. It was like storage. And then with COVID, it was like, then you really realize how much you use your home, and it was like, you really value. Whereas before, as a parent, I was like classes and classes, and we were never home. It was like the minute the kids left over school, we would get home till literally bedtime. And it was like so much sports, I wanted to keep them active. And COVID allowed us to realize we could just hang out and like throw baseballs outside. So that's really when it was the catalyst to like, you know what, let's really do it now and enjoy it. And Rob's particularly happy because he's been asking me for years, but I'm like really like frugal. So I don't want to do it yet, but then, yeah.
Listen, I love it. I'm here for it. Okay, so my last question for you, since you brought up Rob, I was looking up fun, interesting facts about you, and I don't know if they misreported or if this is actually true. Maybe you even shared this on the show and I missed it, but one of the facts was the fact that your first date with Rob was at the Finding Nemo premiere. Is that true?
Yeah.
That is amazing to me. So with that,
I have to remember the date then, because we met May 10th, 2003. contrary to the glasses lady who's like, oh, she's underage because I was 20. Okay, and it's not everyone's fault. There's another Crystal Kung on Google. Like if you Google, she's an artist who's 3 years younger than me. So our profile started to blend. So when I would tell the year, people started doing the math with the wrong birthday and thinking I was younger than I am. So literally the minute you have an article about you, like, oh, I'm going to be on the show, it just got spread. So it's like 35-year-old. I was like, I'm 38, which makes a big difference being 17 and 20 when you meet your husband. And so anyway, so I'm clarifying that. I'm 38, very proud. And but yeah, so we met on May 10th, and so it must have been May 17th. It was the next, or 18th, the next weekend. Yeah, that was our first date.
I thought
It was
that
very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was like one of the most amazing and iconic ideas for a first date. Like Finding Nemo premiere. This honestly, listen, my first date.
Don't give him so much credit. He had to go for work.
Hey,
Don't
we
give
have to
him
give
credit.
Rob some credit over here.
Yeah, no. He had to go for work, and he probably was like, whatever. She's like easygoing, so
She'll be psyched about it. Okay.
No, it was really sweet, and it was like we were holding hands. I was like, oh my god, this is like first date stuff. So
you're like, this is a real Hollywood first date. Okay.
Hollywood, yeah, 18 years ago.
Okay. All right. So with that question, it was leading, or with that fun fact, it was leading me into my last question for you, which is there anything that would be on the top of your mind, maybe something that we didn't get to see from you or that we don't know about you, a fun, interesting fact that maybe the fans don't know?
Well, other than actually being a business owner and not what quote people call me as a gold digger, that would be nice.
Oh, that's not a fun one.
Yeah, it's like good. And it's so funny. Like, but because I know my life, I'll show Rob that. He'd be like, oh, finally, people are seeing it. I'm like, get out of here, idiot. I think that like in my everyday life, I'm actually really bubbly. And I was like, why are they not showing that? And, you know, Rob's like, because you actually didn't show that. Like you were so stressed out and nervous. And what happened, you know, he was like, when you get nervous, like you don't express that. You just get very like insular. So I'm always like clamming up. And I wish, and you could sort of see towards the end of the season when I know I'm good and chill with everyone, I'm like, I open up. And I wish that I was able to do that earlier, because I genuinely then started enjoying myself. And my friends will text me now like, oh, finally, like literally yesterday, my girlfriend's like, oh, finally I see one episode that looks like you. And I'm like, I get it, because I was, you know, stressed out, and it's hard. It's really hard to film if you've never done it or ever wanted to do it. So it's just, you know, but it's a learning lesson. And that was me. When I get scared, that's how I act. And, you know, I just wish I didn't have that. I have that feeling, you know?
See, and thank you, because that proves my point that your freshman year versus the sophomore year that you have on any of these reality shows, they make a big difference because you're more comfortable. We get to see the real Crystal. This is why we need you back for season 12. I'm co-signing this. I'm excited about it. I know you're coming back, even though I'll wait for the text to confirm it.
Wait.
I have no doubt in my mind. I can't. I'm just excited. I'm excited for you guys to start filming, and I know we'll be seeing you again. And Lucy. Oh, Lucy. Okay. All right. Well, with that, Crystal, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much. I know you're extremely busy. You have a lot going on. This means everything. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here. Honestly, you're such a doll.
Hey, I'll keep you around, and hopefully we get to talk again soon after that confirmation maybe comes out.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Crystal. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, another amazing interview in the books. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was as satisfying to you as this conversation was to me. Wow, what an incredible person, what an incredible experience. And thank you so much again, Crystal, for sharing your time and just even coming on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell, because it's not stopping anytime soon. Until next time, bye, guys.